We'll start the show in just a minute, but first, a word from our premier brand sponsor, Boom.
My name is Maria. I'm operations manager. The company is Lifestay. We're based in London. We manage over 250 apartments, houses, blocks, all combined. My biggest problem for me is the maintenance, property maintenance, because we always have complaints for something, and this is often leading to a lot of stress for the team, for the guests, and additional costs for the landlords as well. So it's difficult to balance guest expectations, satisfaction, and also the landlord's expectations. We decided to migrate to Boom. We were immediately impressed by the capabilities of the software and the services it offers. Really, when I heard about the AI function, I wasn't really sure if it will work well. Yeah, I was expecting something more basic, but when I saw the capabilities and how developed this AI future is, it really impressed us. I'm sure that it will really benefit to improve our services and help us focus on more serious problems, more strategic problems, and it will improve our guest communication, our maintenance procedures, and cleaning procedures as well. And this software really gives you the chance to grow and to improve your services. I will definitely refer Boom to anyone dealing with property management. Even if they have 5 apartments, better start with less a number of apartments. It will be easily to understand how the software will help you improve your services. And then once you have all those procedures in place, it will be even better to start growing with Boom alongside. So I would definitely recommend to anyone.
Head over to boomnow.com to see a demo of this revolutionary software, and be sure to include that you heard about Boom on the Alex and Annie podcast. Our listeners receive 50% off onboarding fees, and the first month is free. Go to boomnow.com and see for yourself how AI is revolutionizing the future of property management systems. Welcome to Alex and Annie, the Real Women of Vacation Rentals. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie.
And we are joined today with Dennis Goedheid, CEO and founder of Casiola Vacation Homes, and a second-time returning guest on the show. So good to see you today, Dennis.
I'm a returning veteran now, yes. Thank you for having me.
Well, we certainly like having you because you're always on point with your colors. You match right in with Alex and Annie. So we appreciate that. So before we get started, why don't you just give us a refresher of who you are and how you got into vacation rentals, and maybe a little backstory about Casiola.
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Dennis Goedheid. I'm the founder and CEO of Casiola Vacation Homes. We are a property management company. We manage around 450 homes right now in 4 destinations in Orlando, Miami, Aruba, and Houston. And we recently launched a franchise system. So we're expanding into more destinations through franchise. Very excited about that.
Super exciting. I remember the last time you came on the show, it was probably about 2 years ago. I think it was right before we went to VRMA in 2022, and at that point, I don't think you had launched the franchise yet. It was the following year.
Yeah, absolutely. We just launched it last year. Actually, we threw a big party here to celebrate the launch of the franchise system, so the Casiola Beach Party. So that's exactly a year ago now.
That's so exciting. I definitely know from my experience being at Casago for a bit there that it's an undertaking to open a franchise, and I mean to build an actual franchise. I think there's a lot of people within our space that they throw around the term franchise, but they actually mean they just want to be multi-market and they want to own different companies. But getting into becoming a approved franchise model, it's a massive project. So a big undertaking.
It took us a little bit over a year, I think. You have to create what they call an FDD, franchise disclosure document, and it needs to be registered and refiled every year. Yeah, it's 150 pages of attorneys talking to attorneys, and then you need your operation manual too, which is another few hundred pages at least. So it took a little while to get there, yeah.
I know you've got one that's open in Aruba, but what are your takeaways in the first year of doing this? How has it been?
Yeah, no, Aruba has been an amazing success. So we started there. We converted an existing company with around 12 to 15 properties. And in less than 2 years, we got them to over 125 properties right now.
Wow,
So
that's
if you ever
incredible.
get to go to Aruba and you look around, you're gonna love it. You're gonna see those big pink Casiola circles at almost
Oh, I
every
love that.
dimension. Our office is like right on the way from the airport to the tourist area, so you can't miss it. So no, things are amazing there. The growth has been impressive.
So how many markets are you in or looking to be in, I guess, by the end of this year?
So we want to add only two more this year. So we want to take it slow to get started. We want to add five next year, and then after that, it's up to how fast we can scale it up. But no limit there.
Yeah, it's really smart. I think this is definitely a business model that slow and steady wins the race because you have to be able to execute for these companies or individual owners that are or business owners that are going to become part of this. And that's a tough thing, right? There's a lot to learn as you're doing it. You guys know the business inside and out, but it becomes different when you're running somebody else's business or helping them run it. But are you looking to get individual people that want to start a business, or is it just going into existing businesses and converting them?
Yeah, we're open to both. So I think it could be a great additional business for existing real estate professionals like realtors, for example, that sell a lot of vacation homes and are now giving those contracts away to other managers just to retain that business. And they may not have the time to figure it all out from zero. But if we can train one or two people in their office and they use our technology and our website and our marketing, I think it's a great additional business for those kind of people. So we're open to converting existing companies as well as people starting from scratch.
That's so interesting. And as Alex alluded to, there's a couple of different companies that are in the franchise space. And I'm curious as to, just not to go all in on this topic, but what do you see your differentiator for Casiola against the other companies that are in the franchise model space?
Our end goal is really to create like a global brand in vacation rentals. I know it's not going to be for next year or the year after, but that's the ultimate goal, a little bit like what Marriott does for hotels. We want to create something like that in the vacation rental space. So we want each and every home to be unique wherever you go. You can have the local touches, but we want the bases in each and every home to be the same. The experience itself needs to be similar wherever you go. So that goes from the products you find in the home to cleanliness standards to guest support to how you enter the home. So really big on that. So they will have to follow certain brand standards if they want to join the Casiola brand. And then, of course, I think we can do a great job in the marketing. And an example there is, again, Aruba. We get so many questions now from people like, oh, are you also on other islands in the Caribbean, or people, local business owners? There's a lot of business being done within those islands that come to Aruba, that see us everywhere and say, hey, I want to bring that to my destination and also be under that brand because it's so recognizable. Everything looks so great that we want to replicate that in our destinations. So I think we can make there a difference, especially on the marketing side.
I love that you started with Aruba, and I think that's a really interesting path that you could take if you continue to expand within, the Caribbean destinations, because down there's not, in most areas, I mean, there's not like a true market leader. I mean, it's people that do it and maybe small companies, but not exactly to the extent of professionalism that some of the US operators have had. So definitely a lot of opportunity there. And I mean, for you to grow them to over 100 properties in less than a year, that's massive growth. So obviously homeowner acquisition, marketing, that's a big part of what you offer. Have you taken essentially what you've done in Orlando and applied it? And I ask that because I know Orlando is such a unique market that a lot of your homeowners, they're not traditional homeowners. I mean, they're investors from overseas, and maybe that applies to some of these Caribbean markets, but just interested for your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, right? But for me, Orlando is the benchmark. That's the normal. I don't really know anything else. So everybody always said, "Oh, Orlando is so tough," but that's where we grown our business. So yeah, it went actually a lot faster in Aruba than we did grow in the beginning in Orlando. It is not an easy market. There's so much competition out there. And like you mentioned, owners are from all around the world. So you cannot really get them on the phone in your language and
Yeah.
explain to them what you do. But we figured it out somehow when we were applying this now to other destinations, and it's working really well. And you mentioned like in those Caribbean destinations, there's also a lot of foreign investors that just love to have a place there, but don't use it that often. So we hope that we can apply our know-how and the processes that we've come up with over the years into those other destinations.
Very cool. And one of the things that we know about you is that you're super active, not only in Orlando, but just all over the state, and kind of dovetailing over into something that, is pressing for everybody is regulatory. And I think you've been very active with some other leaders in the state to make sure that we have smart regulations, that the people at the legislature in Tallahassee are listening. And I think that you're doing some events, probably not Verma, maybe Verma, but coming up at DARM later this year. And thought maybe an opportunity to talk about what you guys are doing at the state level to help regulations for managers.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for those who don't know yet, but I think regulation is the biggest single threat for our industry out there. I mean, there may be a lot of others, but regulations right now is definitely one of the bigger ones. So I would recommend or ask or beg everyone to get involved. Don't think, oh, it's not my problem because I'm in Orlando or I'm in an area where there's a lot of vacation rentals, so they probably leave us alone. It's also one of the first things we did in Aruba when we got active there is set up a local association and get as many local managers involved as we could find there. And it's really necessary. We've seen it this year, even in Florida. I think that the number one vacation destination in the US, maybe the world. Yeah, there was all of a sudden a bill that came kind of out of nowhere. We were all caught by a surprise on the second to last day of session. All of a sudden there was a bill there, and it got through the Senate, it got through the House, and yeah, all of a sudden it was ready to be signed by the governor. So we started a huge campaign as well internally with our lobbyists as grassroots campaigns on LinkedIn. You may have seen one of my many posts. Sorry for spamming everyone, but it was really important. And yeah, we got a huge success, a huge win there, because we were able to get the governor to veto that bill. It was not just us. We had great partners like the Realtor Association here and a bunch of others. But it's really, really important to support those associations. If we ask you to do something, it's really because it's necessary. Sending an email to or calling the governor's office, it may sound like, hey, how is that going to make a difference? But it really, really does. What we've done the past year shows that. But also, we need money. It's as simple as that. We need to pay the lobbyists. We need to sponsor candidates that are short-term rental friendly. And that's why we're also organizing a big fundraiser at DARM in beginning of December. So anyone that is going to DARM, please visit us. We're going to do it on opening night on Monday. It's only $50 to access the event. It's not a lot, but it will really, really help. And we're also still looking for donors and sponsors, companies or individuals that want to help us getting a new bill passed, a bill that is balanced, that is fair for everyone. That's what we're going to work on next year. So anyone that wants to support us, please donate through the website. It's fpvrc.org, and there's a donation button on there. And anything is welcome. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be $10,000. We're happy with 50, with 100, anything you can miss to support our cause.
Excellent. I just saw on the news here in Myrtle Beach last night that this, and actually it's aired multiple times and today, that the city here is in a deficit on their budget and just really hurting for money, that properties that had converted to long-term rentals, which there's no bill in Myrtle Beach that's preventing short-term rentals right now. knock on wood. But the housing crisis is an issue, right? And that's the purpose of some of these properties that they converted to long term. But in my mind, I was like, it's good to at least see, like, now, okay, things were done, and now the city's realizing, wow, these short-term rentals, like, they're very important to our economy and to our budget and what we're able to do. And I think it's so overlooked by a lot of these areas, especially, when you think about, like, there's so many, like, Colorado markets that have these crazy restrictions put in. It's like, at some point, like, who's gonna look back and be like, "Okay, yeah, this was still a good idea. We think this was a good idea." I can't imagine that a lot of those markets aren't seeing the same thing, but unfortunately, I only saw that because 'cause I'm here locally in that market, but that's the message that needs to happen, and I feel like there needs to be some case studies and interviews with these local officials, a year, 2 years into these regulations being put in place of like, "Okay, is it what you thought it was? Has it really improved the quality of life for residents?" I don't know. I mean, if you don't have the resources as a city and a municipality to provide what you want to provide, and then to what end? It's just
No, exactly. And we've done economic impact studies. We've done it in Aruba and in Florida, and it shows over and over again. It has a huge trickle effect. It's not just that people move from vacation homes to hotels. If you're a group with 20 people, you're not going to rent out 10 hotel
right.
rooms to go on
Yeah.
vacation. You just go somewhere else. So you lose that business. And we see it now also in New York. It doesn't really affect affordable housing. There's so many other factors that go into building affordable housing, and vacation rentals in general are not affordable. No one wants to be
Yeah, exactly.
in a suburb. They all want to be on the beach or having an ocean view. Those homes by default are not affordable. So yeah, there's we can talk about this probably for the rest of the hour, but there's so many studies that have shown over and over again. Not saying that we don't have an impact at all, but it has a huge trickle effect. And I agree with you. Are they better off in the end? I don't know. I don't believe so. We just have to come up with a fair and balanced regulation, because I totally agree. If you're living there and you have guests coming in and out every day and they're partying until late at night because they're on vacation, and they leave their trash and they park in front of your driveway, those are the things that we need to tackle. And I think all professional managers are on board with that. We just have to make sure that it doesn't tip the scale too much to the other end, that you can't do anything anymore, and that it's restricted, and that people just move, take their vacation money somewhere else. That's not good for the local economy, for sure.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, just in the case that you mentioned about the bill that popped up, because I remember it kind of popped up out of nowhere. I think people thought there was something going on, but nobody knew for sure. How were you able? Because again, I remember you being out there and everybody was sending emails and calling and doing everything that they could. But ultimately, when you were able to stop it, like, were you able to sit in front of any of these legislators and even the governor and say, like, what is the misunderstanding here? Like, what are you thinking is going on versus what's really going on? And where are they getting their information from? Do you think it's a lot of it is just that, like, they got someone else has their ear and is giving them bad information, or are they just making a lot of assumptions with nothing to back it up?
Yeah, for sure. And that's the biggest part of our work. And especially Tiffany and our lobbyists in Tallahassee, they do an amazing job. And what people see is only when there's a session or when there's a bill already in place, but it's a year-round effort going to those people and talking to them, fundraising for them, educating them. It's something that never stops. We're working on that. We have meetings every 2 weeks, year round, not just when they're in session. So it's a lot of work, and that's also why we need those donations. It's not just 2 or 3 weeks a year. It's a year-round effort in showing them how important we are, how much jobs we create, how much we bring to the local economy. So yeah, a lot of effort. And then once the reason why this bill got passed now is because a lot of local policymakers want more power over what's going on in their jurisdiction, right, in their local community. And that's how the bill started. And then other things got added to it, including vacation rentals, up to a point that, yeah, we didn't really see it coming, because it started out as slightly something else, and then we were all of a sudden added to that bill, and yeah, it was too late before we could do anything, because they wanted to rush it through. But in the end, it turned out like nobody was happy with the bill, not even the ones that initially came up with it and wanted to get more power. They didn't think it went far enough, and we thought it went way too far. So that was our luck. I think it wasn't a good bill. No one liked it, and that was also the reason that we got it vetoed. But it's an ongoing effort, and until there's a good bill in place, we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I think that we have a really great group, and you talked about Tiffany Edwards, but there's yourself, Paul Hayes is involved, Jeannie Daly, obviously Tiffany leading the charge because she knows how to handle the lobbying. Steve Milo, I mean, B-Trips, he's been involved for a very long time, very passionate about what goes on regulatory wise. So it's great to have you guys paying attention, because I do think that through everybody's daily grind, they aren't able to dig in and really pay attention to some of these things that happen. And the one thing that we know about kind of legislation and governing is they're not always the most transparent with what they're doing up there. So it's good that you guys are on it. So thank you very much for everything you've done for our state. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right. So switching gears a little bit, we've gone through all the serious stuff. Now it's time for the fun. So there's two stories here, but the first one we're going to ask because we waited to ask you the full story on this. We saw the post on LinkedIn, and several people commented, "Oh, it's amazing what AI can do." That you had posted these pictures in your bathing suits with Richard Branson hanging out at his house, doing all these different excursions, enjoying fine dining and drinks and everything. And I'm just extremely curious to hear how that all came about. And my gosh, like what your takeaways were. What an incredible thing.
It was really amazing, and I would call it a life-changing experience. I did absolutely not know what to expect, and I actually got like invited by someone, and in the beginning I didn't even believe it. I thought it was some kind of a scam, so I said, yeah, of course I'm up
Sure.
for
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And I didn't think to hear back about it ever again. But then all of a sudden, I was starting to get like official emails from Necker Island, because it's not just his house; he has a whole entire private island in the British Virgin Islands. I had to book my own tickets to get there, so I double checked, and it turned out to be legit. So okay, I thought, let's just go. It's a week. Worst case, have an amazing vacation in the British Virgin Islands. I wasn't really expecting to meet Richard Branson. I was maybe hoping to see him one night at dinner, giving a short speech or welcoming us. But what I did not expect is that he would be there every day from morning till evening. From 6 a.m. he was on the tennis court. Then he went on bike rides or hiking trails around the island. He was having breakfast with us, lunch, dinner. We actually also celebrated our anniversary, 22 years together, 12 years married at the island.
Congratulations.
And yeah, we got a cake from him and personal
Oh my gosh.
congratulations. Amazing thing to happen. But no, it was absolutely not what I envisioned before I went there. It was so much better. So yeah, it was just incredible.
How do you top that for your next anniversary? Like,
I told my wife, next year it's on you. I did this year.
Shift the responsibility.
oh my
So
gosh.
were there other people there with you, or like was the how it was positioned for you? Was it like a business retreat or like a personal development retreat, or like what was it like?
Yeah. So there's three ways that you can visit Necker Island, right? And I got a lot of questions about that too after my post. So the easiest or the most straightforward way is you can rent out the island. So it's $150,000 per night, and then you can bring up to 40 friends. So there's 20 rooms on the island that sleep two people. So you can bring up to 40 friends. And then the whole island is at your disposal. You can have fun there with your friends. Now, it's probably not within everyone's budget. So a few times a year, they also offer individual stays. So you can book an individual stay, book a room, bring a friend or a partner or a spouse. And then the third option is to be invited. So Richard Branson also wanted to create a place to bring great minds together, because he really believes in if you put a couple or a group of great people together, they can accomplish so much more than each on their own. So that's really the philosophy of the island and everything that he does, building like great teams or making great connections. So those are like the three options. Yeah, before I went there, I was expecting some kind of high-end luxury resort. Like there's so many around the world. You get there, there's a butler in a nice suit following you around everywhere, catering to all your needs. And it was the complete like opposite. It is high end, it is luxury, but it's so relaxed and at ease. You really feel like you're on your own private island, or you're visiting your billionaire friend, and do whatever you want. You can walk around everywhere. There's nothing off limits except for his own personal home. But if you walk around the island and you see a sailboat or a paddleboard or whatever you see, you just take it and use it. If you need help, someone is there within 5 minutes. If like we couldn't really sail, or I've done it a long time ago, but I didn't feel confident to sail around the island on my own. And someone just pops out there out of nowhere, and they're there to help you. There's bars all around the island, but there's no one behind that bar. You just go in, open the fridge, take
Oh
whatever,
my God. Wow.
make your own cocktail. You're hungry, you
Wow.
walk into the kitchen. I mean, it's all nicely presented and prepared, but you really, it's an amazing feeling. They do have bartenders like during dinner and lunch, so you don't have to make your cocktails while you're eating, but you just do whatever you want. No one bothers you. You do not need your wallet or money. That's another interesting thing that was weird in the beginning. So they brought us to a room. We got settled, and now we wanted to leave. And I was like, "Did you get the keys?" No, I
Yeah.
didn't get
Wallets. Yeah.
the lock, and there was no way that you could lock the door. And in the beginning, it really felt weird. Like, do we just leave all our stuff here? And what
Yeah.
if
Well, I mean, where are
someone
they going to run to, right? The other side of the island? It's not like
but after
Wow.
a few days, it's so great to not having to worry about, oh, did I bring the key? And then you
Yeah.
go in
yeah.
the
Really
ocean
is
and
like it's your own house
lose
that way.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly, and most staff that we spoke with, they all have worked there, even in housekeeping and frontline. They all work there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So there's not a lot of turnover there. They're all probably been vetted and have been there for a while. But yeah, it really feels like you're at home or visiting a friend. You don't have keys. You don't have to wait for stuff. If you need something, they're there for you. But another thing is like the meals. So everything is served family style on long communal tables. So it's not like the normal restaurant setup where you have tables of 2 or 4. So everybody sits together on a long table. There's, I think, at least 15 or 20 of those tables all around the island. So some are on the beach, some are in the great house at the top of the mountain, and you just all get together when it's dinner time. They put like big pots on the table and you grab whatever you want. Richard joins you and sit right next to you, or his wife or his daughter. They're all just mingling. You meet so many great people. You get to speak to someone new every single time. It's they created an amazing laid back experience there where you can make really meaningful connections with the other guests on the island. And I think there were like around 30 other people, because some of them had a room on their own, so they were not sharing. So I think around 30 people were there at any given time.
Did you know any of these other people, or was this all like just all different people from all different walks of life?
Yeah, all different people from all around the world.
Oh
Didn't
my
know
gosh.
anyone there.
Yeah.
So yeah, very
And there
interesting.
Was there like any agenda to it, or is it just come, relax, and just completely check out?
Yeah, no agenda whatsoever. So no presentations. No, no, you didn't have to do anything if you wanted to work or stay in your room or whatever. Because most people there were running businesses, right? I think everyone there. There was also one retired couple of professors. But besides that, everybody there had businesses, and some just had to take phone calls and video calls. But yeah, didn't know anyone up front, and yeah, got to know a lot of people there.
We'll be back in just a minute after a word from our premier brand sponsor, OwnerPoint.
My name is Brady Marsh. I'm a acquisitions marketing manager for Brett Robinson in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, and we recently launched over in Perdido Key. And we've been using OwnerPoint since November, I believe. Short-term rentals is a big business down here, and there are thousands upon thousands of units out here, and a lot of those are owned by absentee owners. And so OwnerPoint helps us track down who owns these specific properties. And so that was kind of our biggest pain point, was being able to find the actual owner of these properties that we were wanting to target. OwnerPoint has been a fantastic tool for us on tracking down these owners of these properties, because it allows us quickly to comb through all of the property records, and we can target it based on building, houses. If we want to find out the owners on a specific part of the beach, we can use the polygon tool and track that stuff down. The specific features of OwnerPoint that have had the most impact for us has been the ability to quickly curate these lists that we're using to target specific types of owners, whether it's units in high-end buildings or beach houses, things like that. It's taking all these different resources that you would normally have to go to a different location or different websites, and it's compiling it all into one location that you can quickly create these highly curated lists, and then the ability to quickly integrate that into our CRM. It has made our acquisition team, it's made their ability to be more targeted with the folks that we're going after. I definitely would recommend it to others. It's very intuitive. It's a very user-friendly software. You're familiar with an MLS or anything like that, you can quickly hop in and learn how to operate everything in OwnerPoint. So it's super fast, super easy, not a steep learning curve at all.
Ready to start growing your inventory and bringing in new properties? Head over to ownerpoint.io/Alex and Annie to see how they can help your business thrive. That's ownerpoint.io/Alex-and-Annie, where you can turn leads into long-term relationships and grow your property management business. Now back to the show. It's so interesting that Richard would open his home and his island to these people, but you think about some of the greatest influencers, not in our space, but just in the larger world of professional, personal development, and Richard certainly is somebody that cares about that stuff. So it's probably very fulfilling to him to have these experiences. But I'm curious, you got to speak with him a lot. It looks like, what were your takeaways? Did you learn anything, or did he give you a different perspective on things maybe you hadn't thought about?
Absolutely. Just like the island, he wasn't at all what I expected him to be. He was actually very introvert, like quiet. I was expecting him to be the guy when the door opens, sucking up all the energy out of the room towards himself. It was the complete opposite. If you wouldn't recognize him, and you wouldn't know that he's a billionaire, you would have never guessed he walked around there without shoes, without a shirt, just in his swim shorts all day. Couple of things that really stood out: he listens a lot more than he talks. I think 70% of the time he's just listening. He really loves to connect with other people, but he's not the one dominating the conversation. He's really listening, and then he throws in one of his crazy stories from from his life. That guy has been through so much. It's insane, but he listens most of the time. And when he speaks, you really need to come close and listen carefully, because he doesn't yell. He's very quiet. Another thing that really stood out is when he's talking to you, you could really see that his mind was thinking how can I help this person, or who do I know that would benefit from knowing this person, or the other way around. So everyone that he spoke to, he tried to make good connections. he was talking with someone in healthcare. It was like right away bringing him in, that person into contact with his manager from Virgin Care. He has so many companies, so he knows a lot of people, but like right away bring them into contact. When I was explaining what we do and talking about vacation rentals and how it works and marketing them, and I'm taking care of housekeeping, maintenance, and so on. It was like right away, like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, actually, my son has a home here on Virgin Gorda, the island next door, but he actually doesn't really use it. Usually, when he's here, he stays with us. I'm gonna bring you two into contact, and
Oh,
you can
wow.
He could be your franchisee down there.
exactly. So it's right away. That's the first thing he thinks. Not like what can I get out of it, but how can I help those people I'm talking with? And yeah, if something can come out of it, great. If not, so be it. But I really want to help that person get better or evolve in life. So that was really great to see, especially for a person like him. He probably gets a lot of requests and a lot of people
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
for money or contacts or whatever. But yeah, that was amazing. Another thing that I thought was great, the whole entire week, I think I saw him on the phone 3 times. So he has a phone in his pocket, but he never takes it out. I think I was on the phone more than he was. And just for people that don't know Richard Branson, so he's a billionaire worth no one really knows, but probably around 7.5 to $8 billion. And he owns the Virgin Group, which is a holding company that owns more than 400 businesses, anywhere from record labels to airline companies to phone companies, you name it, and he probably has it in his portfolio of companies. It's not publicly traded, so it's still completely owned by him and his family. So he runs a huge
Yeah, empire.
it's insane. He really fully gives you his full attention when, yeah, in presence. He's living in the moment, not like doing 3 4 other things. He's really there and giving you his full attention, which I thought was great too.
What an amazing experience.
For me, a big takeaway was also I know in the startup world and in business in general, a lot of people start a business with the intention to grow it fast, blow it up as much as they can, and sell it again for as much money as they can get for it, and then move on to the next thing. And I've done that once in my with my previous company. Not that we sold quickly. I sold after 12 years, and now I started over again. And a lot of people ask me like, "What is your plan? What is your exit plan? Are you gonna sell it? Are you?" And I'm always like, "No, I just want to keep it as long as I'm having fun and I enjoy doing what I'm doing. Why would I sell? Why do I need outside investments? Why do I need a VC?" And there's not many people that think like that. If I talk to other people, they're like looking at me like, "What? You don't want $10 million for your business?" And I'm like, "No, because what am I gonna do?
You're
I'm gonna
enjoying it. Then what are you going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to start another business.
exactly." And for me, he was really proof that you don't have to do that. If you run it well and you have the right people and the right team in place. He's like 74 years old. He runs 400 companies. He's just enjoying life. There is mingling with guests. He doesn't have 20 meetings. He just enjoys what he's doing, and he's making a lot of money in while he's doing it. He's doing also a lot of good with the money that he makes, and there's no need to sell. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But why is everybody like, "Hey, I'm going to start a business, grow it, and sell it"? If you do it well, you can keep on doing it until you die and give it to the next generation.
Yeah, relating it back into our industry, I mean, that's how companies that were built kind of at the influx or the starting point of vacation rentals, 30, 40 years ago, that was always their intent. And now it's more whether it's a technology company or a vacation rental company or whatever, everybody's thinking about the end game when they start it. And I think it makes sense to a certain point, but I definitely believe in what you said, that it's like, why would you want to if you're enjoying it? You're making a nice living, you're helping a lot of people, you're having a lot of fun. Like, why even go that way? And then other thing that I wanted to say too, definitely not Richard Branson, but I would say a few steps below, but I had a similar opportunity earlier this year that I was invited. That was kind of the same thing that I'm like, I don't know, do they really mean to invite me to this? I'm not sure why they're reaching out to me directly to go out to Vegas for a 2-day event, like private event with David Meltzer, he's multi-millionaire. He was the movie Jerry Maguire about the sports agency was made about the agency that he ran back in the day. And I mean, he's done all sorts of different businesses over the years, but very much a business influencer, somebody that really just wants to help other people. And the event that he had, it sounds similar. We weren't on an island, but he brings people together from like different businesses and kind of walks of life. And like the purpose is like, he wants to help people meet other people that can help each other. And it's like the whole community that I got introduced to in doing that was, it's like everybody, their first thing was they wanted to know about me. They wanted to see how they could help. Like everybody there was under that same mentality. And it was electrifying. And that was within the first week or two of this year, which for me was a transitional period of leaving a job, about to start my own business. It was unbelievable. But like the way that he looks at things is very similar, I think, to Richard Branson and his intent for what you got to go to. But we had David on our show, and then he re-aired our episode on his podcast too, which is like a top 0.05% podcast in the world that we weren't even expecting. And it's like he comes from that place of like wanting to give and connect, and it's building a community, and I think for you with the franchise, that's such a big thing, and like how you can take some of those things away from it, that it's like the community is so important, really, in a lot of different business models, but that's a big part of how you get people together. And he obviously did it very well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And once you're at 7 billion, I think that 8 billion is not going to make the difference anymore. So what do you do in life? Well, you want to help people build a legacy, make the planet better. He has all those breeding programs. So he brought flamingos back to the British Virgin Islands. It's a native species, and they were completely wiped out. And now there's thousands and thousands of flamingos flying around and going to other islands. It's those kind of things now that are important for him, not making even more money than he already has, but really doing something good, something that will outlast him when he's not there anymore. And yeah, it's great to see that with people and that they want to share and want to improve lives for other people.
Yeah, it's good to know that there's people out there that they're not in it solely for their own purpose, like they're in it for the greater good, and that kind of like renews your faith in humanity, I'm sure, at times.
Yeah, so that's a good point. The money is the money, and it's great to have, but like the fulfillment that you get from also being able to take what you've learned and osmose that to other people, that's where life's purpose starts to come into play. So we've got one other story, which I definitely go as so far as to say was not so fun as the time you had at Richard Branson's Island. The three of us and many others were in Orlando for the Favor Conference a few weeks ago, which was an excellent event. We had a great time. But you came up to me and mentioned that you had this idea. And so you knew that I had just launched and announced my association as a founder and happy guest. And you said, I want to do an interview with you where I'm going to take you to one of the theme parks and I'm going to interview you on a roller coaster, and you can do your pitch of happy guest. And I think when you asked me, I had a couple glasses of wine at this point. So I said, sure, sounds good. And Annie said, yeah, why not? I forgot. I have not, well, I didn't forget how long it had been since I've been on a roller coaster, but I forgot how much I absolutely despise them. It's been, I don't know, 20 years. But it was an interesting day. It was definitely, I feel like broke through some boundaries, but that was probably the most interesting conference experience I have ever had in my life. So I just wanted to make sure we touched on that.
Yeah, so by now I always try to do things a little bit different, right? And I've been asked on several podcasts, and a lot of people ask me, "Oh, do you want to start a podcast?" and I'm like, there's already so many out there. It's saturated market. If I ever do something or commit to something, we need to make it different and make it special or fun. And that's actually how the idea came up last year when Vera May was in Orlando. I made an announcement that we would offer like discounts on stays and theme park tickets for all attendees in Orlando. And I did that from a roller coaster, and we got amazing feedback on that. I think we even had a couple of other property managers also recording a video in their roller coaster at their destination. So I thought, yeah, we're in the theme park capital of the world. Let's just add a section there, because it's impossible to do whole conversation and episodes from a roller coaster, but let's just invite some people and let them pitch their newest product or software or event or service, but do it in a roller coaster. So they have the time that the roller coaster takes to go around. They can scream like some people do. They can vomit, but they only have the time to pitch their product as long as we're in the roller coaster. And yeah, we did it with you, with a few others, and it's fun. It's not easy from a technical standpoint to do it, but yeah, it's definitely different.
So has anybody to this point cried or thrown up?
I got about as close as not at either exactly, but pretty darn close. I would say.
Not yet. So we're still waiting for that one. But yeah, no, it's definitely interesting to see a lot of people just forget to talk. I think I had to remind you too, Alex, that like now is your time. Start talking.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I think when I said yes to this, in my mind, I was thinking you meant like we're going to film this video as the roller coaster went up to the top. So I'd be able to talk. And we did that for part of it, but that actually went by very quickly. And then all of a sudden I'm at the top of, I don't even know how many feet in the air, literally just petrified. And I had my sunglasses on, so bad idea. Trying to hold on to those for dear life. I didn't scream. I immediately went into just like complete mute. Like I couldn't even speak. I could not believe what was happening. But cautiously optimistic, very nervous actually to watch that footage whenever it comes out, because I have no idea how I explained what Happy Guest is. And it probably was not anything worthwhile. But the best part of it was you guys were a little tricky in this, that we had Shahar from Boom with us, and he was definitely a much better sport about all this than I was. He did the first roller coaster, but then the next one, as we're walking out, you guys said, oh, this is nothing. It's smooth. It's very relaxing. And so I'm thinking this is more like a gondola ride or something like that.
There was no wait time. How can you walk past a roller coaster with 0 minutes wait time and not go in it? So yeah, and it was a smooth one. What I didn't tell you is that it was an upside down roller coaster. So
upside down. I was not expecting that. And
so you're hanging with your face down. You go face down first when it starts, and yeah, that didn't go over that well. It wasn't as wild as the one where you did your pitch, but yeah, you didn't look too great when you came out of it. You looked a little bit pale.
Yeah. I was very, very happy that I did not have a hair tie, because on that one, at least my hair, because I was upside down, was covering my facial expression the entire time. So I thought, thank God, that's better. I just need to not even look and see what's going on right now. But ultimately, it was a fun experience. I'll never forget it. I'm glad that I did it. One of those things, terrible in the moment, but no surprise. You always come up with great ideas like that. And I'm proud that I said yes. I pushed my boundaries, grew a little bit that day, but showed back up to Annie about an hour later and looked like a troll. My hair was out to either side.
She was as pale as I've ever seen her. So it was mission accomplished, Dennis. You did a great job scaring her. Are you going to put this all together in like a compilation, or when do we get to see all these?
No. So we're building a few episodes so we can start releasing them with a little bit of a backlog. So they will be coming out later this year, and yeah, that will probably be the best watched section of it. Sure.
The best is the picture that you got from the GoPro of like your face. You have the biggest smile on your face, and I look like I'm about to die. The difference in our expressions was,
oh my gosh,
was so perfect. But Oh man. Well, good times. I know we're gonna see you in Phoenix, and if there's any strange thing that you ask me to do, I'll probably say yes, but I might have to think twice about it now.
I need to do some research of the most crazy attractions in Phoenix, Annie, because yeah, you haven't been a guest yet. So
I don't
Yeah,
have
you're
anything to really pitch, but you know what you should do is skydiving.
are you making a proposal?
I have to say, it's on a list of things I would like to do, but I don't know if I would actually be able to do it because I feel like I would pass out. But it does look cool. But they do a lot of skydiving out in that area. So
I
I
would
mean,
be open to
yeah,
that.
I'm all for it. Do your pitch while skydiving.
I just feel like I would say, "Here's the pitch," like completely pass
That's
out.
what I did. Yeah.
But we will
I
include a link to your website so
Oh
people
well,
will
that's
find
good.
you anyway.
I
It's
passed out for a good
like,
cause.
no, I agree. I would do skydiving way sooner than I would do bungee jumping. I don't think I would do bungee jumping, but I think skydiving could be fun. Maybe we'll do that. That could be a live podcast that we do. And Dennis can be literally the pusher getting us out of the plane.
We need to make sure we bring Chad Blankenship too because he has to be part of this if we do it.
He is our security guard. So awesome. Well, great to chat with you today, Dennis. We're excited to see you in Phoenix in just a couple weeks now. But if anybody wants to get in touch in the meantime, or maybe isn't going to VRMA, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, and I guess you will add my name somewhere in the comments because it's hard to pronounce or remember. Or you can go to casiola.com and find more information about what we do, different destinations that we're in, the amazing homes that we manage. Or if you're interested in franchise, go to casiola.com/franchise and you will find all the information right there.
Perfect. Well, if anybody wants to get in touch with Annie and I, you can go to alexandannie.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, everybody.